boys and girls, we are back with another episode of the Watch and Cut channel. So today we're a little bit up higher because we got a little bit of a larger piece to take a look at. Now, I'm just going to start off by kind of introducing the video because this knife just comes from a really special source. As a matter of fact, it comes from a really good friend who made this deliberately for me. So now you guys may know this character as the Super Steel Steve. Yeah, I know most of you guys know Steve. How can you not? So it's a fine Wednesday morning, and drink some coffee here. And let's take a look at what I bought from Steve. Now, Steve and I go way back because of the Sharp Talk podcast I used to do with him.
I love comments like that, man. I live for that shit.
Oh, I get them all the time.
I like all the nice comments too, but the ones that are like that, those make my day.
Oh, they're the best.
We've now evolved it to me and Dirk on the EDC hour, so go check it out.
Yeah, you're like, it's kind of a plain one.
It's kind of plain, but it's not really plain.
It's flipper like bacon Damascus.
And as a matter of fact, I had a kind of recent episode where I reunited all the boys back together from Sharp Talk, which was pretty wild, pretty fun, so you guys can go check that out as well. As Dirk was also part of the Sharp Talk podcast members. I think the only one that we left out was Bearded Gear, but oh well, no big deal. So let's move along and let's take a look at what we've got. So now Steve, I should have probably looked this up before doing this video, but Steve's been making knives for not a very long time. I think like a year or two. I don't know, somewhere around that neighborhood, and you guys can chime down below if you know the answer. But Super Steel Steve, the steel extraordinaire, the guy who's all into steel testing, if you're not familiar with his channel, now makes knives. Now, if you guys didn't know, or if you guys followed me on Sharp Talk back in the day, you guys know that Steve is a chef, and he makes beautiful chef knives. I'm imagining he'll probably make a fixed blade too if you want like something more outdoorsy. I didn't really ask him because let's just say it's I have a very impressive knife box with vast survival blades, fixed blades, and I've been collecting for over a decade. And if you saw the kitchen knives that I have, you'd probably laugh your ass off. That's right, yep, I don't have great kitchen knives. I usually just beat them to crap. I used to have a elderly family member that lived with me, and she was an old French elderly woman that used to take the rod or the two knives and just do this stuff. So the few times I did buy nice knives in the past, they just got completely jacked up. So now it's just me and my wife and my daughter, which will not be using this. So I decided I needed my first custom chef knife. I thought it was super appropriate to get one from a good friend. And I love Steve. He's just the life of the party. Heart of gold, drama queen at times. But man, I love Steve. He's a cool dude. Now Steve did a little stamping here to put his logo. Beautiful grind, man. Wow. Transition's nice too. Very nice satin finish. I mean, you can see this thing is so clean. You could eat off of it. And I guess that's kind of the whole point, isn't it? I'm being ultra careful because, guys, this bad boy is super thin. I bet you didn't even realize it was this thin when you were looking at it on the side profile. So this guy is gonna slice through, man, it'll slice through air. So now, when it comes to chef knives, where you really can get your own personalizations is always going to be the handle area. So when Steve asked me what kind of handle material I wanted to use, I only gave him one specific direction. You know, when we were going through materials, I said, let's use bog oak. So we have some extremely ancient bog oak handles here. What he didn't tell me he was going to do, but, you know, expected that he really wanted to outdo himself. You can see these beautiful multi-layered liners in between. And I love the way that he did that. Now this almost has like a production knife look to it. I would say the only area that you can kind of tell it's more by hand is going to be in the plunge grind area here. And you know, I'm still trying to figure out if I like a plunge grind there or not, or if I just wanted to straight up transition. But then at the same time, you know, this thing is super thin. So there's going to be a little give and take. But the plunge grind, I guess, is the only thing that I would say I'm not sure if it belongs there or not. It does kind of give it a nice kind of visual cue in some respects. But, I mean, I don't know shit about chef's knives, so I could totally be off. It's just going off what I see. I have to be nitpicky, right? I have to bitch about something. Not everything can be just perfect, or, you know, I'd be called a liar, I guess. But to me, actually, you know, the way I look at knives, everything is kind of perfect, because the imperfections is what a lot of times what people pay extra money for. As a matter of fact, it gives it that custom feel, that hand finished touch. The fact that this thing just didn't get grinded through some factory process, and somebody actually put their love and sweat into this thing and did it all by hand, and just to make sure that it came out as thin as possible, the edge was as finished thin as possible, just to make sure that all the contouring and all the pins are flush, to make sure you get the best coloring and grain out of the wood that you're using, and to make sure that when a human hand is holding on to this thing, it feels comfortable, like it's what it needs to be, like the balance is exactly where it should be, right over here on my index. So really well done. I can't wait to use this thing. As a matter of fact, I showed my wife. She got a little frightened because it's a little bigger than I think she expected, because we don't have a lot of stuff quite that large in the kitchen as we should. But man, you know, like, why not? I mean, I just, you know, you just gotta have a full-size chef knife, just in case in Halloween time, you know, Jason from Friday the 13th comes out. I think even he would run if I brought this out. And this thing is massive. I love it. I mean, you know, here's the axe murderer hold, right? Like, dude, this is like a horror film, like extraordinaire. Yeah, I better not piss off my wife or put this thing away while we're sleeping. Dude, look at those liners. I love that. Look at that transition. This is really, really nice. I really like, everybody knows I always talk about it in almost every video. I like neutral handles. And the only reason why I like neutral handles so much is because I like to be able to index the knife where I want it. Because if I use a knife in this manner and hold it back, which, by the way, that's more of a bushcraft thing, like a chopping bushcraft thing, I get more of like a wiggle type, the weight of the blade, you just get a little bit more leverage because of the length. There's a whole lot to it. The chop is going to cut and feel different. than when you're holding it up here. As you can see, this is more fixed to the hand, right? So this is more for cutting. So I like neutral handles because A, I can pick and choose how I want to use the knife, and I'm not really restrained and locked into one specific place with it. And the other reason why is because if I have a large hand and my wife has a smaller hand, it's a handle that's going to fit everybody's hand nicely. So I will do kind of a follow-up review after I get a chance to use it. I'm actually going to do a full review, you know, using it, seeing how it cuts stuff. Maybe doing something kind of goofy with it. I don't know. Not cutting nails or anything like that. I don't want to, absolutely do not want to destroy this knife or do any damage. Although I know Steve will fix it if I do. But man, I couldn't be more ecstatic about the way this entire thing came out. So I just wanted to share with you guys something that I mean, in all honesty, I mean, that is a chef's knife. That's the way that the only way that I could describe it. Even Crocodile Dundee would be frightened with his Bowie blade coming out of his underwear if somebody pulled this out.
That's a knife.
Wow, this is beautiful. I love it. So I guess it serves in the kitchen, and it's a great home defense tool. So that's a great advertisement for Steve there. Oh man, this video has just gotten too silly and weird. Anyways, so just thought I'd have a little fun talking about this really cool knife. Big thanks to you, Steve. I love you, brother, man. You did a great job. Super ecstatic about it. Can't wait to use it. And yeah, we'll do a follow-up review on this guy. We'll talk more about like the steel used and all the other stuff. This is just more of an unpouching, if you will. So stay tuned for more. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you know when follow-up videos come out with the latest and greatest. For my watch guys, don't worry, I got more watch content coming soon. We're going to be doing a very expensive Seiko tuna, probably upcoming next. I know I got a Casio that everybody keeps asking me to review. I've gotten a lot of requests on this one, so I think on this guy, we're going to see this guy sooner than later. And plenty more knife stuff as well. So thank you all. This is the Watch and Cut channel. Out.